Welcome to Electric Lawn Talk. Each week, the electric lawn care professionals get together to talk about the electric lawn and landscape business and have some fun along the way. Whether you are in the business, thinking of getting started, or just want to hear the tips, tricks, struggles, and victories of the move to electric, you are in the right place. Let's get started.
All right, everyone. So here we are, episode 7. It's going to get down and dirty. We got a lot of people in the room tonight with us. We're going to talk about what's working, what's not working, what's good, and what sucks. And I wish everybody could see us right now because we can see each other. But there's one man that I see that's got a smirk on his face. He knows who he is. He's got his hat on. He's got to talk some smack about what is working, what's not. Jake, my man, Denver, Colorado, Green Team Denver, what you got?
What's going on, everybody? We're doing good over here tonight over in Denver. I guess we're jumping right in here, and I will start us off, man. The biggest thing that is killing us over here in Denver with this Kentucky bluegrass is efficiency. And when I talk about efficiency, I mean when we're out there mowing, mainly on the mowing side, not having those 30-inch mowers, those electric mowers is really killing us. Not having those quality 32, 36-inch standards, which, like we've talked about on the Equip Expo episode, that's a little tongue twister, they are coming out with them. So that is exciting, definitely. But that's something that we're going to be working towards next season, making that change and getting some of those more efficient mowers on board with us. And then the other thing that's really killing us efficiency-wise is right now we pull a 6x12 trailer and we pull it with my Silverado 1500, and I'm the only one that can drive it. So as you can tell, like that's kind of a big bottleneck, you know. I'm having to work in my business rather than on the business day in and day out. And so that's really killing us efficiency-wise. So next year, what we're looking towards moving to is running some smaller setups. We've kind of taken notes from what Michael over at Quiet Lawn has been doing with his Prius setups, and really kind of like the efficiency of that setup. And not only worker-wise, you know, you can run 1 to 2 workers. Anybody can drive a Prius or a smaller car like Sean runs the Ford C-Max. I've been looking a little bit at the Chevy Bolts. So you can throw just about anybody in one of those vehicles. It doesn't take training to learn how to drive it. You know, you're running more efficient routes because you can run 1 or 2 man routes. And overall, your efficiency is just going to go way up. So we're really looking forward to that because that's really kind of been a pain in our butt over here. And really what's been preventing us from growing as a company, because like I said, I'm having to work in the business. I'm out there mowing as owner. I'm out there operator as well. And I'm not spending time on what I should be spending time on: accounting, taxes, marketing, sales. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to hear if anybody else has some of those same pain points.
Yeah. So quick question for you. And you mentioned that you're moving to smaller setups because your guys don't prefer to use the cargo trailers. Is that kind of what I'm understanding here?
Yeah, I mean, we love the cargo trailer, don't get me wrong, but you know, I think at our height we had 6 or 7 guys working for us this summer, and only one of the other guys knew how to drive a truck and trailer comfortably.
Uh-huh.
And so, you know, if they're not comfortable, I sure as heck am not, as an owner, comfortable sending them out in Metro Denver during rush hour, or, you know, the innards of the city of Denver, where these roads are barely wide enough for one vehicle.
Yeah. Okay. And Sean, up in Maryland, you guys, you kind of focused your business on using these smaller setups. Share with us why you took that path and went with the smaller setups and how that's helping you guys. And maybe if you can, also share with us what's the downside to using the smaller setup.
Yeah, so we went with what we thought was a smaller setup. We've got a 5x8 enclosed trailer. I've got solar panels on the roof, so we've got a whole charging station in there. Can recharge everything throughout the day while we're running around. But actually, what we've discovered this year is it's really not small enough. We're going to be upsizing the business, but downsizing the pieces of equipment that we're using on a daily basis. So next year, instead of running a 2-man crew out of the C-Max and the 5x8 enclosed trailer, we're actually going to get some little, I don't even know what they're called, but they're like the things you see people hauling coolers on the backs of their trucks, it's like a tow behind, but without any wheels. It just kind of floats in the air. We're going to do one of those, that way we can just throw the push mower on the back of that. And we're going to do 1-man crews. So we're going to get an extra car and take those hitch carriers and just put each of those on the back of the vehicles, completely wrap the vehicle. So it's a nice billboard still going down the street. And that's our goal for next year, is just building out as many of those 1-man crews as we can.
Yeah.
As far as like the downside of the system that we had, our first year in business, we were running a 2-man crew out of that with just Ego push mowers. And we had plenty of room in there, as long as you weren't too tall. I've knocked myself out. The thing's only about 4.5 feet, 5 feet tall. And so if you don't duck going in or out, you can catch your head on there pretty good. But once we added the Mean Green zero turn into the back of that thing, it definitely weighted down the C-Max pretty well, pulling that thing in there.
Uh-huh.
And if we're talking about things that work and things that don't, I love the Mean Green mower. The company's awesome. The customer support's been incredible. The mower itself has been fantastic. But honestly, for the properties that we're trying to attack, it has been less efficient than we had hoped. We had an HOA for a little while this year, but it got to the point where, like, even with the 48-inch Mean Green, it just wasn't as efficient as any of the other companies out there doing HOAs and those size properties. And so I think that's something that's very limiting on the electric side for sure. Like right now we've got the 21-inch push mowers. They are coming out with the 30s, and I'm really looking forward to that. But when it comes to these larger mowers, any of the other lawn care companies that are out there, they're running 48s, they're running 52s, they're running 60s, 70 and above. And so they got all these other options that are relatively reasonably priced. They can afford to have multiple pieces of big equipment like that. When it comes to the electric stuff, when you're paying $35,000 a mower, you got to pick one and make sure it's the right one for you. And so with the big mower, there are certain properties that it works really well on, and we can get that efficiency. But when it comes to wide open spaces, it's still not as efficient as what other people can do. And if we're competing strictly over price, like, we're never going to win that battle.
Okay.
And so it's really trying to dial in and find what properties are our ideal clients and what the right equipment is to service those properties. That's what we've learned this year in a big way, and that's what we need to adjust going into next year.
So that's 2 in the plus column for downsizing their work function, right? So moving down to a smaller setup, seems like there's a consensus for efficiency there.
Smaller setup, more business. It's like finding a way to be more efficient with what works best in our environment.
Yeah, and we have learned that as well, because we were in this kind of hyper growth stage where we started out as a 1-man crew, and then we developed into a 2-man crew. So our crews could do more in any one given day, but then you kind of get into the profit margins and how's that working out and what's most effective for the business. And it's cool to hear that there's 2 guys here already, the first 2 guys that are looking at downsizing their setups for maximum efficiency and profitability. And that leads me to Dan, because you guys are running Mean Green right now, and you've been running Mean Green for a while. Share with us how that's working out for you. Do you feel like you're getting your return on your investment with the very expensive piece of equipment that you bought? And what's your plans looking into 2023?
Well, for the Mean Green specifically, there's some things we don't like about it. Some things we do like about it. It's nice to have the runtime. The runtime is really cool. When you have those batteries set up, you don't have to worry about it. Downsize, it's big, heavy. We had some You'll leave ruts if you don't go in the right direction or you turn. It's really jerky. So their torques are very powerful. So when you're taking a turn, I guess on a gas mower, that takeoff is not as quick. But on these electric ones, they're a little quicker. So they'll tear up your yard a little bit more if you're not careful with it. So if you're taking those turns really quick, you create ruts and mess up yards, and you have complaints about it. And you're trying to train your employees to that and have everybody understand that, hey, you need to take a bigger 3-point turn. Don't take off so fast. And in those cases, that's where you get to that aspect, because just because they're so torquey. And you also have on that specific one, we have a rear discharge deck, and that was based off of recommendations that it would have longer run time. Once we got into it, we kind of figured we didn't need the longer run time, and a side discharge would probably work better here. And that's one of our biggest pet peeves, because the rear discharge has baffles in it and it bogs up in the rain. Like if it's a wet grass, you can't get it to like discharge everything out. It bogs down. It just slows us down even more than it really does.
Dan, I wonder, you think that's specific to the type of grass you're cutting with the worm season stuff? Because up north, I mean, we get a little bit of bog down, but it doesn't really slow us down necessarily, even with the wet grass. I mean, the mean green cuts through it pretty well. My only other comparison is like the Ego push mowers, but we can ride through just about anything with the mean green.
It might be the Baheas we cut, right? We do 2 types of Bahia and St. Augustine, and Bahia is the one that gives the biggest problem. It bogs up, gets stuck on the bottom. You have to turn off the mower, get all the debris off of the bottom so you can get a better, cleaner cut. And then that slows you down in the wet time. And that's almost every single day in June, August. Running through those months, it rains like every day here. The wet in the mornings, you can't get up at 7:30 in the morning, go cut yards. Your ego is just slower. The mean green would slow you down.
Yeah.
You have to wait until it dries up a little bit. We learned that, the first year of running that. But that's our biggest thing with the mean green. And then the other ones we have, like you have the Z6, it's more like run time. You have to, manage that a little bit better. I mean, other downsides we have is understanding like how much like power you really need, and then having just enough and not too much. Then you're spending a lot of money on having too much weight and stuff like that. So that's another one, just trying to honing into that, really focusing on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can have Ronnie talk a little bit more on what he sees on his side.
What do you see, Ronnie?
Well, shit, I don't understand why Daniel's being so damn nice. I'm not a fan at all with the mean green. I'll tell you that right now. It's making me money, but it's costing me just about the same. There's a lot of hype behind it, and I'm still waiting to see it. If we're being, blunt about it,
We are.
I got a very, very not cheap. I'm not gonna say it's cheap, but I got a good quality for its price mower. Starts with the letter E. Eagle product, 42-inch.
Yes.
And that thing will outdo the mean green any day. Now, of course, you have to worry about battery life, stuff like that, but we kind of already fixed that problem. So now, if you would have asked me this in peak summer, oh my God, I would have had a whole list for you to kind of go at it. Mean green's nice. I'm not going to lie. It is nice. But like I said, we have that rear discharge. So that morning dew in the morning, it's just so overwhelmingly. Like every property you take is an additional 20 minutes just because of the mower itself. Maybe we would have got a side discharge. It would have been a little bit better. We're trying to get that to this day. We got to work with what we got. But I'm not a big fan of the mean green. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of anything. We're at the front ends of everything, guys. So like you said, we kind of find out all the problems before anyone else does. So there's a lot more hate than love, but it's getting the job done. Especially if you come from a gas company, you kind of have that reliability of having strong, powerful tools 24/7, unless it broke. You know what I mean? Like I said, I could give you guys a big list about what I don't like and what I do like. One of the things we haven't said yet, just so I can kind of get it back on track of tools we don't like, or I don't like the edger. I feel like there's not a really good quality edger out there. A lot of them still lack. It doesn't really push out too much dirt or cut as much. What we've done is take off that wheel on our edger so we can sink it in a little bit more and turn it in. It'll do a cleaner cut, but makes a bigger mess. But other than that, as far as tools, that would be the only thing so far that I don't really like in the industry. And of course, everyone's warranties. They really want to put it out there too far out there. But yeah.
Quick question for you, Ronnie. You were over there at the Equip Expo. Did you get a chance to see the Mean Green 32 that they're coming out with? And Do you think that's going to solve any of the problems that you guys don't like about your Mean Green? You know, I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit lighter. Does it still have the rear discharge, or what's that one looking like?
The 32 did look nice. What I can say and what I've learned a lesson from is what's new isn't always what's best. So we don't want to overhype it too much because we haven't had my hands on a tool to kind of back it up and say, hey, I've done this for 6 months. This tool is amazing. I can't tell you that I've run the Ego for all 3 years. And it's had its hiccups, but it's still working to this day. And I can pick it up at a local Lowe's if it breaks.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I've heard a lot of things out there about different companies. I heard Steel's great. I've heard I've used Makita. Makita's great. There's one company that kind of went out of market. Do you guys remember what that was? Oregon, was it? Something like that?
Oregon Tools.
Oregon Tools went out of market.
Tools,
I don't want to say, pick a tool for you guys and then it goes out of market and we don't know. You kind of never know those kind of things until it hits us too late. Like I said, we're at the front end of everything. So we're the pioneers of the electric industry. So
yes, you're absolutely right. We are. And you bring up an interesting point. You say, ultimately, it comes down to the availability of the tool. And when things break, because things do, often for us in what we do, if you're bound to a specific brand, you kind of have to bend the rules a little bit. If a string trimmer breaks, you got to go buy another string trimmer.
No, for sure.
And you got to get the job done. And it gives you the opportunity to use different brands because what you are normally used to using may not be available in your big box retailer. So you're going to have to grab something else to get the job done.
Sure.
And you've got an opportunity to kind of expose yourself to another brand. You were talking about brands, and Gerhardt for those of you that are listening right now, it is so funny. Gerhardt has a video on his Instagram where he's wheeling around an Ego zero turn and he's popping wheelies with his thing. It's the funniest thing in the world, this video that he has. So this guy's sporting an Ego zero turn, look like a 42-inch, I think. So Gerhardt, what do you like about this thing? What do you not like about this thing?
So let me start off by saying I hated it when I bought it. I absolutely thought it was the worst thing in the world. The software on it was just terrible. It was just like you're saying with the Mean Green. It was so jerky. It was just like horrible to use. But you know what? It's crazy because my lawnmower updates. My lawnmower has gotten so many software updates and now it's super smooth. It just runs so much better. And when I was at Equip, that was something that I made a point to tell every one of these manufacturers is that you have to be able to update your mower. Via an app, via 4G, 5G, whatever, because it's going to have issues.
Right.
No matter what, it's going to have issues. And so now, not only with these software updates, but I've got the bagger kit on it, which has, the weights in the front. I mean, I operate in an area called Lafayette Hill. One of the problems that I have with the Z6 is that it's actually a little bit too light. So it slips on the hills. The bagger kit has fixed that as well as the updates. I've been having a love-hate relationship with Ego. And you know what? They literally has updated my mower and it's updated my opinion on it.
Hey, Gerhardt, I have a question for you because you brought up a good point with the software. Do you think because I just talked about Mean Green, I know I threw a couple of them under the bus, but it's because I have no brand loyalty. But do you think if Mean Green for a $20,000 mower would put a software for you to have a Bluetooth app would make it way more worth its bang for its buck when purchasing it like the Ego does?
For sure. If they can get the user feedback like, hey, it's a little jerky. Oh, hold on, guys. Let me just update that for you real quick. We've been working on it. We've heard other people say that. Okay, try it now. And then you're just like, oh, wow, this is like so much better. Then, yeah, I mean, if you're paying $20,000 for something, you should be able to have it be adjustable if something for $5,000 is adjustable.
That's a good point, man.
I've got a quick question for you, Gerhardt. I know that my Z6 has been updated one time because I had to replace the display screen. But are you having to take that in for the updates? Or I feel ignorant right now, but I have no idea how the Z6 updates work.
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat. I forget why, but I called them. I was having an issue with something, and they're like, "Is it updated?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I don't use the app. I feel like that's more of a residential thing. I'm just out here just using the mower." So they said, check the app, and apparently I was up to date. So, I mean, it updated on its own, and maybe I got on the app. I don't know. Maybe just from opening it.
Actually, I'm not sure if this is true or not. I don't know who told me this, but when I first bought it, I don't believe it came with a double turbo mode. It had me do a software update to where I can pull more of the battery juice into the tires, and I can go faster now on my Ego if I had it straight. So that was a new feature, and they did it all on software. My Ego did not have that the first week, and then I'm like, my Ego won't work. It needs to update, and when I updated, it took like 15, 20 minutes to update it, and I had a new feature. I could go faster. I can go faster straight. So I thought that was pretty neat. My blade speed got a turbo mode too, so it would just drain battery faster. But if you need that, it is an option now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Teslas have. I mean, you could buy an update for your Tesla and it's faster. So the fact that Ego is just like, yeah, we made it better. Here you go. But, you have a Mean Green that's 4 times the price, and it can't, but, it's supposed to be the top of the line. It's just kind of like,
Yeah. Yeah. So we haven't heard from Sandy yet. So Sandy migrated. So when you moved down to Southern Florida, you realized that the gear that you had that was working for you up north was not going to be the gear you needed. And you kind of had to retool your operation. You couldn't get through the gates. Properties are smaller. What did you guys end up doing? How's it working out for you?
Sure. Yeah. So unfortunately, we can't use the 48-inch Greenworks commercial zero turn that we have. So it's pretty much right now sitting on my trailer, not getting touched. So I had to take it back to basics, back to when we used to work out of our family minivan with push mowers. So just running 21-inch mowers. We do have a few of the Greenworks 25, but as you all know, and I'm sure everyone else can look up pretty quickly, those mowers were not the best. So I haven't even tested it out on St. Augustine or any of the other grass types we have down here. So just running a prosumer brand, of which I can't really say too much about, even though it's out there. But, just using that for now, just a 21-inch mower and some of their handheld tools in combination with some of the Greenworks handhelds as well as blowers as well.
Got it. So you're primarily using Greenworks, is that right?
Yes.
And why?
So for me, at the time when I was up north, it was more about the access that I had to an actual dealer and the support that I was able to get from those folks. So unlike most of the people's experience that I've, heard about and had conversations with other folks in the field,
yeah,
I had a better or more positive experience with my local dealer when it comes to, getting things replaced and getting things on time. I didn't encounter a lot of the issues that most folks did. So that was important for me, and it was a good call. When I started out, I really wanted to try to stick with one battery platform, to have a battery that can interchange and be used across multiple tools versus having different options.
Yeah.
But, even now in the landscape that we're starting to, see now with all the changes and a lot more folks entering the battery powered field, I think that it's going to be a good mix this season of different tools.
Yeah. So I guess that leads me to my next question, Sandy, and that is, if you guys are working with Greenworks right now, you're using, call it 90% Greenworks tools. What is it that they're lacking with that is keeping your mind open to using something else?
So for me, again, I had a positive experience with dealer support, but the one interaction of reality that I had was when my stand-on went down. I was working on a commercial property, and for some reason, the LED light or that daytime running light that it has built into it, it kind of stopped functioning and it shut off all the controls on it as far as what I can see. Like I can turn the motor on, I can drive it, and I can, pull the ETO switch and go, but I couldn't see anything, battery percentages, speed, nothing like that. Pretty much the important things I couldn't see. So it was in the middle of the season. So I reached out to my dealer and no one could get back to me as far as like, hey, can I just drop it off? Is it a quick fix? So it took a couple of weeks for them to figure that out, but luckily the machine was still functioning. It's just that I couldn't see anything or I had to rely on my actual, when I was charging the machine, when the fan would stop running is when I know it stopped charging. So it's quite interesting. But kind of going back to that dealer support, it kind of did suck and it started to affect me. So I thought to myself, I was like, man, if I was running a few of these and they're bound to go down, this is not good to wait as long as I did to get back up and running. And, these dealers didn't have any loaners. So I think it's going to be important to just be able to work with or partner with a brand that can really meet up that standard when it comes to support. Not just getting replacements of things pretty quickly, but ultimately having your back when you need it, especially if you're spending the kind of money that these tools cost. As we know, it is a lot more expensive versus its, gas counterparts. But, when you make investments like that, you want to make sure, even if it's, a 2 or 3 year warranty, but when stuff goes down, you expect to have a replacement, just like they do for the gas tools.
Yeah.
That's my big take on it.
Yeah. So when something breaks for you, is it your responsibility to reach out to your dealer or do you reach out to Greenworks directly when you guys have a problem?
So it's a little bit of a mix because I do have a couple of their newer tools and those I can actually submit a claim directly to them versus having to go through my actual dealer.
Yeah.
But not all the tools have that capability, not the older ones at least. So for the older ones, I would have to reach out to the dealer and ultimately they would say, okay, bring it in. We'll run the diagnostic. And then 9 out of 10 times they just order the replacement right away and I can pick it up within a couple of days.
Yeah.
But for the zero turn, it wasn't like that. I did have to wait for a lot of diagnosing. And, they took some time and they had to order a part. They couldn't get in time. And it was a little bit of a mess.
Yeah. And you guys know that, we exclusively run Ego tools and we kind of suffered a breakdown with our zero turn and we had a battery box that went out on it and it went into a warranty claim. We've got a couple dealers here in Dallas. We ended up taking it to one dealer in particular, great dealer here in the Addison area. They're kind of a new Ego service dealer and they brought our zero turn in. And unfortunately, the issue that we ran into is it wasn't the dealer's issue. It was Ego's issue because they put a battery box on order and it took almost 8 weeks for us to get a replacement battery box for this Ego zero turn 42 inch. And it was the springtime, guys.
That's been my issue with Ego. It's always all the finger pointing. That we run almost exclusively their equipment too, and it's when something goes wrong, it's not my problem. It's their problem.
Yeah.
It's point to the dealer. They'll take care of it for you. And the dealer's like, that's not my equipment. I don't give a shit.
And the dealer has absolutely no control over it because they're waiting on the part from the manufacturer, which in this case with us, it was Ego. And the excuse we were given was, it's on a boat. It's on the way here. The battery box is going to be here in 2 weeks. And then I would call and follow up and it wasn't here. And they just didn't have the parts. So we all know, every single one of us knows that parts have been an issue for us. And you've got a Mean Green. So when something breaks with your Mean Green mower, how long does it take to get that problem rendered?
We just cry.
I'll say the Mean Green, that's the one thing that set them apart. Any issues that I've had with their mowers, I reached out to them directly and they overnighted me parts when I had issues earlier this year.
That's cool.
That's funny you say that 'cause I've heard that from you and Michael. When I try to do that, that didn't work out. I even suggested that I'll fly out there and pick up the damn part and bring it back. They're like, no, that don't work like that with us. We'll have to send it to the dealer.
Yeah. Gerhardt, man, you're looking kind of sleepy up there. I know you're got your 42-inch Ego.
What's not good about it?
What's not good about it, man? Let's hear it.
Number one, needs mulching blades. It's got a mulching plug. It's leaf season. It needs mulching blades. The stock blades are totally unusable. The only usable blades for it are the high lift blades. When they came out and I got them, I was like, whoa, this is an actual blade. It's pretty thick. I'm in the cool season grasses too. It actually lifts and cuts. Now, I talked to Ego and they're like, only use it for bagging. Don't use it for anything else. So I was like, okay, wink, wink. So I use it for everything. I use it for the mulch plug. I use it for the side discharge. I use it for the bagging. They're great. I wish there was a high lift mulch, kind of like what the Toro has. That Toro recycler is a tank. I love it. It's a residential model and it's totally, I had a wheel fall off this year, and a residential mower being used for commercial, that's incredible. Another thing that I have concerns about, that I talked to Ego about with the Z6, the 42, is that like I live very close to Philadelphia, and there's literally a sticker on the back where you have your $400 or $500 batteries, 6 slots of them where it says "Open Me." So, say you had 6 12 amp hour batteries in there, that's $550 each. That's $3,300 a battery, and it literally says "Open Me." You look at all the homeowners who are running electric, there's a lot of people running Ego, so they know what's going on in there.
Yeah.
They know what you have in there. So, I mean, I talked to them, and think they're coming out with a commercial model of the Z6. They said it's going to be something that will be lockable on the battery side from your phone, which I was like, whoa, that's awesome. But, my seat's kind of falling apart now. What else? What else can you do about that? But I run OpenTro and I like it at this point.
Talking with Ego a little bit through their charging solution kind of interviews or whatever, I think that's one of the biggest things that can't be overlooked with this battery electric technology is just, the Bluetooth connectivity, the, software updates on the go, the being able to open an app and check your battery health, check your battery, charge, all these different things. That's something that's going to be really kind of game changing, I think. I know my Silverado does like its own system checks basically as it's going, daily. And like our mowers in the future are going to be able to do that. Whereas compared to these gas mowers, you may have something that's been going out for, a week or two and something sounds kind of funny, but you just kind of, ignore it. And then all of a sudden your motor blows up. You're not going to have that with these electric mowers. You're going to have like notifications popping up on your phone or whatever. So I think that's really cool and a really exciting thing that shouldn't be overlooked.
Yes, dude, you're absolutely right, man. And the strange thing about it is the more technology you get, the more technology you want, right? So we get this kind of baseline technology that Gerhardt's talking about where you got to update. So it increases your blade speed. It has like learning mode. And every time you get a new update in this new advancement technology, the more you start to realize how things are going to just continue to improve and improve. And it's really cool, what we're doing right now. I mean, gas power technology just doesn't have all this cool stuff, right? That we're all using now. And it's fun to watch. I know that Sandy is probably in a whole new world now using completely different technology. And Sandy, I don't know, are you with us tonight? Are you still with us, Sandy?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay, well, welcome. We're so glad to have you. So you're still using Greenworks.
Yeah, it's still using Greenworks. Like I said a bit earlier, is it going to be the only tool in the arsenal? Absolutely not. Definitely not this year. I was talking with Gerhard offline just about the setup in general, where I was running a 6x12 heavy duty tandem axle trailer, open trailer. That's not going to happen anymore because of these neighborhoods and having the smaller gates. The houses are much closer together, which makes it difficult to have to park a 2500 and then a trailer. There are two really big pieces of equipment. So if I don't find the right spot, I'm going to be blocking somebody's driveway. So I think I'm definitely going to be wanting to move to have a trailerless setup altogether, similar to what the guys over Electron are doing with, a ramp, and they put the equipment right on the bed of the truck. So I think I definitely want to move towards that. And, Gary and I were talking about this just the other day of what type of vehicle, what size of vehicle can we get away with and at what cost? Because typically you don't need a 2500 to be able to carry, 30-inch push mower or even some of these smaller compact stand-ons that are coming out. So, will a Maverick be able to accommodate that or, a Ford Ranger? Those are some of the things that I've been thinking about in general and what that's going to look like for the future of electric turf pros, at least as of having that, one-man crew with the right equipment and a trailerless setup.
Yeah. So we got, if my math is correct, I'm counting 3 guys that are wanting to move over to a one-man crew.
I'm going the opposite way.
I think probably 2, actually. We are over here at Green Team Denver. We're going to move to the smaller setup, but we're going to stick with the old 2-man crews.
Yeah.
For 2 reasons. I've noticed that motivation is just way higher with the 2-man crew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You kind of got to have that dynamic, right? With 2 guys.
Yeah.
They can have a conversation, but they won't go crazy in the van by
and it's just like in the morning, it's like, okay, I need to get up now. Otherwise, I'm going to leave Steven hanging.
Yes.
Or, I can't be sitting here after I get done with this lawn checking my Facebook, otherwise Steven's going to see me doing that and, catch me lacking.
That's what P4P is for.
That's true. And we're going to be exploring all that as well, kind of. And that's what's cool about this group of guys, because we're constantly pushing each other and none of us are getting complacent or anything like that. I mean, and that's how you grow businesses, right?
Yeah.
But going back to my other point, the other reason why we're going with the 2-person setup is I know you guys don't think we get hot up here, but when it's between 95 and 100 degrees up here in Denver, it's hot. And
I'm sure.
I just can't put, one guy out there in this heat for like 45 minutes straight and feel okay with it, So if we put 2 guys on a property, it basically cuts that time in half to 20 some minutes, then they can hop back in the AC and it's a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, I really feel for you, Jake, just coming from the Dallas heat. I'm incredibly sympathetic to your Denver heat waves.
Hey, man, sometimes it gets up to like 20% humidity here.
Oh, wow.
That's laughable.
You get that dry heat down in Dallas. I don't want to hear that shit.
It's that beautiful weather at 100 degrees in Denver.
If anybody from Electron wants to talk to me about the heat and the humidity, I'll stand down. But that Texas heat, that's nothing, man.
Listen, if Jake came down here, he would drown just from the regular air, how much humidity we got.
I mean, the mosquitoes are so big in Florida, they have to file a flight plan to land.
Not only that, you'll have the mosquito truck driving around all the neighborhoods.
Yeah, spraying around. No, but Jake brings up a good point. The biggest downfall in one-man crew is work culture.
Yeah.
Work culture is horrible.
100%.
Me and Joel have been working together the last few days, and he's kind of be able to see what I kind of deal with on a daily basis of how many calls I get. And he's kind of picked up on it. And honestly, I've been very impressed on how fast he's been picking up on what I've been doing, because he's already started applying it to himself on just say like, dang, you're doing all this while I'm mowing. I want to be part of this. How do I become a part of this? I'm like, man, it's always been here. You just got to ask me. I want to see that you want to be part of it. And I gave him a little bit of a goal because, like I said, we don't really have one-man crew. We kind of do his lawns and I do mine and text him tomorrow morning. Everything going well. That's about it. But Give him a little bit of an incentive this month, and he's been crushing it. And that's mainly because we're working together. He can't motivate me too much, and I can't really motivate him too much if we're not together. And we can build that competitive drive when we have those 2-man crews, which is kind of what we lack when we're solo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a very good point. Having those 2-man crews, you kind of can catch someone like, hey, look, we're at lunch right now, but if one of us is done, go ahead and start working. You know, something's going to happen. We can keep on moving type stuff, and you can keep each other honest in that kind of situation.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ronnie. I think that is going to be something that we need to work on next year is the culture of the company. And certainly when you go to a 1-man crew, you know, people can feel isolated. And so you have to be conscious of that. And so that's why, you know, we're right now, we're going through all of our budgeting processes for building out the plan for next year. So one of the things that I've done in that plan is kind of take myself really out of a lot of the day-to-day activities of revenue generation, whether it's on the maintenance side or on the mowing side, just knowing that I'm going to have to be out with those crews bouncing around, making sure that I am maintaining that culture and building that up, spending time with each of the teams and helping them through any of the issues that they're having, you know, circling back, you know, 1-man crews, also circling back and just checking quality assurance and things like that, but also just making sure that they're good out there. They've got everything that they need. They know that they're supported as well.
Yeah. And when you've got the 1-man crews, I mean, you've got your expectations set up as a company. When we started this, it was just me. And I can work pretty well out there by myself. I've got my headphones on. I got my rhythm happening. I know I'm doing good work. And then you bring somebody else into the company and they're off doing it by themselves. And you've got them trained. And then you get somebody else started. And you kind of have to there's that balance, right? Where no 2 guys are going to do the job the same way. And it comes down to making sure that both guys are, you know, they're enjoying what they do out there. They're doing a good job. And B, they've got the same quality. So what do you run into? I mean, when you got these 1-man crews, there's a difference in the quality that these guys are producing for you as a business owner. So how do you make sure that both 1-man crews are getting it done to your standards?
One of the things that we've run into this year, a couple of times early on, is when we had 2-man crews, everybody could always point the blame at somebody else. And so, you know, I'd show up, I'd circle back on a property, I'd take a look at it and say, hey guys, like, you know, it doesn't look like this property got edged. Oh, well, so-and-so was supposed to do that. And the other guy was like, oh, well, I thought you were doing that. So, you know, there's certainly a communication aspect there. And that's one thing we probably could have addressed earlier on, is making sure that there are clearly defined roles on who's doing what on each property. And we've developed that a little bit better throughout the year. But even as we've dialed that in, still there's pushback on, I thought so-and-so was doing that. They should have been doing that on this property. And there's always opportunities to shift the blame. And so I feel like, you know, when we go to 1-person crews, you're in charge of this property.
The blame's on 1 man.
And yeah, you know, but the responsibility is on 1 man, and you are responsible for this property from start to finish. And so, you know, you can step back and you can see the rewards of your work at the end of this, see what you've done, how great it looks from when you started until you finished. And then you get the economic reward for that as well. And making sure that is transparent all the way through, I think is going to be key for making that successful.
I don't know about you guys, but right about now, I'm missing Jamar because, you know, he would chime in with it's a culture that we need to grow and build and train these young men.
Well, I think that's, you know, something that he's talked about earlier in previous episodes is having the Amazon Audible. You know, he provides that to his crew so they can listen to that out in the field and they can be learning and educating themselves while they're working. And so I think being able to provide benefits to the employees to help them improve themselves while they're out there, rather than just listen to whatever they're listening to their headphones. I think that all of that adds in, and I think that'll all improve the service full circle.
I also believe there's certain people that are built to work, some people that are built to help and sell, some people are built to be admin. You know, they're just great at it, that they love to do stuff like that, and it naturally comes to them. having a salesman on the ground or having an admin on the ground working laborious work, they may not be the best at it. But you have a true laborer who is just what they're good at, they will knock out jobs. I've been talking to Joel lately, and I've been telling him I really want him to be in charge of production moving forward throughout the next couple of years. That being said, I shouldn't have to. I text him, "Hey, did this job, get done?" I should already assume it got done because you're in charge of everyone after you with all these one-man crews. So if I build it to 4 or 5 one-man crews after you, I'm not going to ask you if these houses got done. I'm going to assume they got done because they're not going to check in with me. They're going to check in with you. And your job will be to make sure everything gets done. So you're going to learn everything I know until we get to that size company, because you will be able to run. If I get sick and I go in a hospital, or if I take a long vacation or something happens to me where I got to step away, nothing will change within the company, because that's whenever you will be ready to take those steps and make sure everything's running just as efficient as if I was here, because you would be in charge of any new crew member after you. So they won't report to me. They'll clock in with you. They'll text you. They'll deal with you. If it doesn't get done and I have to deal with somebody, I'm not going to deal with that crew member. I'm going straight to you because that is your job. I'm going to say, "Hey, Joel, why didn't it get done?" And you have to manage that. So that way it doesn't take away my time from doing what I got to do. And it gives him that accountability and that responsibility within a company of feeling like he's more than just a laborer. And then he will mitigate those kind of guys for us.
Yeah, having skin in the game is important for sure. I'm going to agree with you with that 100%.
You're absolutely right. And it brings me back to the accountability piece, Ronnie, that you brought up. I mean, if you're running a one-man crew, the only man that you're accountable to is yourself at the end of the day, right?
Exactly. That would be the case.
Yeah. So we've done some one-man crew experiments. We have two-man crews. We like the two-man crew format that we're running because I think that from a personality standpoint, these guys, they need each other to support each other, as they're going through their day and getting everything done. I kind of have a personal belief that a one-man crew may be more profitable, right? From a margin standpoint.
Yep.
But my question is, and any of you guys, and Gerhardt, since I'm gonna ask your opinion on this, if a one-man crew is more profitable, what's the advantage of using a two-man crew? Is a one-man crew sustainable, would be my question.
So I come from a background of working for a lawn care company where they ran one-man crews, and it was pretty much all one-man crews. And it was, I would say it was sink or swim. And the guys who were swimming, they were going far because they had a similar P4P setup, incentive to hit past goal, because it wasn't a set amount of jobs per day. It was you go out with a route for fertilizer, weed control, and you could do your route, but you could also come back and get more. So if your goal was X and you did 1.5x, then you made 10% of that 0.5x.
Yeah.
And that added up in the week. So that was a huge incentive for them. But me personally, I actually just got off the phone with my business mentor tonight. And we were talking about how I'm going to hire my first employee. And, he does not think that going straight to one-man crew after a couple months of training would be a good idea. And I agree, as someone who has been running one man for 2 years on my own and for 3 years in a lawn care company. I think two-man is excellent. I mean, anytime I've been able to work with a two-man crew, it's a lot more motivating for me. Anyone who's talked to me outside of here knows that I can chat for a while. So I like two-man crew personally, but there's also the workflow factor. When I'm on my own, I get into workflow and it's kind of insane how fast that I can string trim, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, right? It's your business. So you're more invested than everybody else in your company too. So there's that kind of that motivation piece where if this is your show, you're running it, your name is on the door, you're going to be the one that's busting your ass per se, more than anybody else that works for you. Because I mean, at the end of the day, most of these people that work for you, it's just a job, right?
Employee mentality.
Exactly. So I want to circle back around on one thing, and we're going to close this deal out for tonight. Sandy, question for you, sir.
Hit me.
What is your favorite piece of equipment, and what is your least favorite piece of equipment, and why?
Are you talking about in general or just with my current arsenal?
Let's go with your current arsenal.
Okay. I would have to say my favorite piece of equipment is my current 21-inch push mower that I'm using. Platform to be undisclosed for now, but but it is my favorite because it is the one that currently works the best.
Is it a brand that's been named on this podcast tonight?
It's an Oso. He's got an Oso.
Also, no.
Oh, I struck out.
Yeah, there's some paperwork that I signed that I can't talk too much about it, but
Okay.
all I know is that it's pretty powerful, and you know, if the 21-inch is going to be their entry level to their bigger product lines down the line, I think it's going to be a strong brand.
Got it.
One more question. Is Ronnie jealous that he hasn't gotten to try it yet?
Oh no, he'll get to try it soon. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over tomorrow. No, but now that I have the opportunity, I wanted to jump in. We're talking about Gerhardt and 2-man versus 1-man crew. I also wanted to say with our setup and any setup that's out there right now, the 2-man crew, if you're running a truck and trailer or a truck and ramp system, what I would like to do if I can live in an ideal world in the perfect business, I would love to do a 3 to 4 day mow setup, and the extra 1 or 2 days have a landscape job on schedule every week for them.
Yes.
That way they can run.
That's what we do.
Exactly. That would be perfect because they would never get bored of their job. They would always have the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to get rid of them, and Thursday and Friday just to kill it and bring in some extra revenue. And they can, always push their limits. And if they want to work more, they can. Jobs are there, but we got to work on our end and make sure those jobs would be there. But that would be a perfect 2-man crew, in my opinion.
2023 business plan.
Yeah, Gerhardt, doesn't that sound familiar?
You just stole it right out of my brain.
Yeah, I was gonna say, doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah, you know what, Ronnie, you're right, and we do that with our second crew. So we've got one crew that cuts grass 5 days a week, and then our second crew cuts grass 4 days a week, but they do landscaping on Monday, and it's a lot of fun because it breaks up the monotony of just cutting grass every single day of the week. Where on Mondays, we can dive into some landscaping projects. Right now, we're doing Christmas lights. So we're all just kind of scrambling and we're cutting grass in the morning and then hanging Christmas lights in the afternoon and vice versa. And it is good. I think it's good doing what we do to just break up the monotony, because that was my question earlier is, yes, you guys are running 1-man crews. Is it sustainable is kind of my big question is, yes, it works now, but what does that look like in, 9, 12 months down the future? Is everybody still happy doing what they're doing? Are you guys able to still continue to crush it? Are you having to cycle new guys into that role? A lot of good topics we can talk about probably in another show. Dan, I got to ask you, man, you're kind of the technology expert in what we do. I look up to you. In your heart of hearts, you're like, okay, this piece of equipment works really well and this piece of equipment really sucks. We shouldn't have spent the money on this, or we should have bought that, or we're glad we bought this. In closing for you, man, what's working for you? What's not? If you got brands, I guess say it. If you want to hold that out, let's just talk about what does work and what doesn't.
I mean, my favorite is going to be the string trimmer from Akita. It's the big bulky one that no one likes to carry around. That thing is just so much torque on it. I like it a lot. It's just heavy. I get bigger biceps with it, I guess.
Yeah.
When I use it. That and the solar system, right? The solar setup we have on both of our trucks they're efficient for what they need to be and what they're set up to be.
Yeah.
From all our things. Those are the two that I like a lot. What I don't like, let's see, some of the blowers from Egos, like the 750, the new one or whatever it is, has too sensitive of a cruise control. So I'll bump it with my my leg or something like that when I'm blowing, and that's really annoying.
Mm-hmm.
That's been my pet peeve. And then the wheel coming off the edger all the time.
When you're walking from one area to the other, you're not trying to pull the trigger at all, and it just fires on because it bumps against your leg.
Yeah, it's a little bit more temperamental on the Ego blower, the new one, the 750 or whatever it's called. I'm not sure. It's a lot heavier too than the 650. So
yeah, it's good input, Sean. So you're not using all the same Crest gear that Sandy's using, right? You guys aren't demoing that equipment right now. Y'all are on something else.
Not yet. Yeah, no. We're pretty much all Ego right now, other than the Mean Green. We've had our fair share of issues with those. Anybody that wants to talk about that, DM me privately, and we can go all into it.
I'm DMing you right now.
Yeah, I mean the batteries they're kind of a mess. The mowers themselves, a lot of plastic parts that break pretty easily, and I don't know, maybe we're not using it for the right purpose. I thought for sure when they first started marketing that stuff, they were marketing it to both residential and to commercial. It doesn't seem like they intended to market it to commercial with what they put out there, and so, we've had a lot of breakage. The handheld stuff has held up fairly well for us. Our second year now of using it, we've definitely had some stuff failing on us. These past couple of weeks have been pretty rough for some of the handhelds with them. But, I don't know.
Man, for me, these hedge trimmers and chainsaws have been hitting lately. Have you guys used any hedge trimmers or chainsaws lately on any tool? Makita and Ego have both been working phenomenal, and I've had no problems with those. You guys have any issues at all with hedge trimmers or chainsaws that aren't working?
No issues, man. And here's the thing. I mean, Makita everybody knows it. I mean, they've been making battery powered tools for a long, long time. And the chainsaw is right in their wheelhouse. We have used the Makita chainsaw, and Makita just delivers. There's no doubt about it. I mean, DeWalt's the same way, right? So from the hand tools perspective, we were using DeWalt when we first started this company, and they're a great brand, great company. They make great tools. I mean, Ego's done a great job coming into the market too with their chainsaws. I think they got 3 of them, a 14, 16, 18-inch chainsaw. And Greenworks has maybe 2. They might have more. Somebody will correct me on that as well. But
I've got the 18-inch and the 10-inch pole saw from Ego, and both of those work really well.
You have the 18-inch pole saw?
No, the 10-inch pole saw, 18-inch.
Yeah, the chainsaw.
Yeah, we do have an issue with the oil leak on the pole saw.
I'm pretty sure every single chainsaw, gas, electric, plug-in, they all leak.
That's a standard issue they know.
That's right. That's right.
There's got to be some way for it to sit that it does not.
But even when they're not being used?
Well, they're supposed to. They have to lubricate the chain. They have to lubricate the chain at some point, right?
All I know is with the pole saw, we will lay the pole saw in the truck or in the van or in the back of the trailer. And if it gets left in there for more than a few hours, there's like this pile of residue.
Even if they're not coming up, if you have oil in that tank, it's gravity fed and all that. That's all it is.
And the chains suck on them. I mean, we've got like,
yes.
Yeah, it's the worst on the Eagle pole saw. It's the worst I've seen on any other ones. It's exaggerated.
Yeah.
It's because they're low kickback. They're not thick chains. They're really thin chains. So you don't get, like, when you get stuck a lot more when you're cutting through branches. Like, if you do it the wrong way, the branch will wedge in there. And it's probably because I don't know how to use a chainsaw either. So,
yeah.
User error.
Yeah, sounds like operator error to me.
The operator error.
Yeah, he's almost cut his finger off like twice already, man.
Twice.
I was like, get off that ladder. Get on the floor.
10-inch.
Oh my goodness.
That'll do it.
I did notice that you actually have to have the chain on the right way. If you put the chain on backwards, we've made that mistake before.
Oh, okay.
We have that little Makita chainsaw. I think it's like, what size is that?
10-inch.
Oh my, that thing, I use that for everything.
Everything. He tried to cut down a 4-foot tree with diameter of a 4 foot.
I did cut down a
Oh
4-foot tree. No, but no, we had to go buy an Ego for that one. But
We did.
they still cut it out. But there's definitely plenty of budget for an Ego purchase on that one. But I use it for everything. But palm trees, little tear outs, man, it just cuts like butter literally through it. Sometimes when we have like bush hog areas that you would typically rent a bush hog for and want to do that, man, I just weed eat everything that's loose and I get the chainsaw and just scrape it all the way down to the bottom. Works way better. It's so much easier. And I got to rent this thing out, drive 10 minutes, come back. And I take that with me to sleep if I could. I love that little tool.
Yeah.
Have you tried the articulating hedger for that?
Which line?
Ego.
Oh, yeah. I've used that. Yeah. I've used that exact same thing. So if the hedger doesn't work, that's usually when I grab the chainsaw. But the articulating hedge trimmer for Ego, that one cuts through some thick stuff. The Makita won't because I don't want to get it, damaged because I really, really like that one for like, nitty gritty, bushes that are squared around. But the hedge trimmer for Ego, man, I don't know if you guys know what a bougainvillea bush is. The thorns are horrible. The root are big. I'll cut that thing down so fast with the hedge trimmer. I'll put it right through the center. I don't even care.
I want to leave with some love for Ego. The rotary tiller, the head for the same one that fits on like all their other motors, the handheld stuff, that thing destroys. I mean, we use that all the time. You can run it all day on a single battery. It's crazy. Anytime we're doing just a flip on a lawn, if we're tearing out whatever's there and putting down sod, we take that rotary tiller and just tear up everything. We cut it low, cut everything all the way down to the soil, and then take that rotary tiller and just rip everything out of there. Rake it all out when we're done, and it works great.
Hey, Sean, when you do another job like that, can you send a video to me or to the group chat? I want to see how you get it done. We typically rent out solder cutters and prefer not to because they're very, very loud. But we're putting in, small jobs. I hate to rent out a solder cutter for that.
Yeah, man. We generally will take either a string trimmer and cut it all the way down or just take a mower and drop it down to one. Just mow everything down as low to the soil as we can, and then take that rotary tiller and just tear everything out of there. It works great.
We have a rotary tiller for Makita, but it doesn't work very well.
We used it once and it broke.
It broke the head of the Makita, yeah. I think it was user error. We'll see.
Wanted to touch on a tool that you can get pretty decent runtime on and really great use, but it will beat your body down. I use the Greenworks Earth Auger. Now, that thing is amazing. I'm in, we call it PA red clay. And just this past weekend, we were in 30-degree temperatures. And I was out helping plant trees with the local nonprofit. And I start all the holes. I mean, pop up that side and I throw that auger in. And I'm not just going straight down. This is an 8-inch auger. I'm going down and I'm going around. I tilt the auger and I go around that hole. And let me tell you, my shoulders hurt, but it is just the best result because not only are you getting that hole, dug, but all of it's nice and loose. And, we were planting bare root trees. So to have all that loose soil in low 30 degrees, that takes a lot of effort if you're not using that auger. And I'm telling you, that thing is a great tool, but I mean, these motors are built for the torque, as far as batteries go, and it lasts a pretty long time on the battery. And but I don't know what could last longer, the battery or me, because that thing, it is tough. I do have a video on YouTube of using that, and it is an excellent tool. If you do a lot of planting, go grab yourself one, but use a wheelbarrow to get it around.
What's your YouTube channel?
The Instagram is Mr. Green Electric, but the YouTube, I think it's just my name, but I'm not sure how to change all that. You can just review and demo Greenworks Earth Auger 82EA. I don't know, but you'll find it. There's not that many other people doing it.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, what's your Instagram? What you got?
Luminary Lawns CO.
Luminary Lawns CO. Jake?
Yeah, we're just Green Team Denver on Instagram and Facebook. I'll apologize in advance. I'm not much of one for social media. So we're going to get better at that in 2023.
Awesome. Ronnie.
Electron LLC on our Instagram page. You want to learn how to build any solar setups? Look up Dan. He'll be somewhere on that page. If you want to learn how to make some money, DM me at any time. Be happy to help you guys go through the obstacles I went through.
Love it. Sandy.
You can find me at Electric Turf Pros.
And I'm Steven. We're Ecomo in Dallas.
Thanks for listening to Electric Lawn Talk. Don't miss the next episode. Be sure to subscribe, and while you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review.